This video is sponsored by East Coast Sports Investors. With over 30 years of experience, East Coast Sports Investors is here to help you build your confidence and your investment. Join the East Coast Sports Investors family today. What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sports Runs on Diesel here, as the NBA Finals is officially set between the 8th-seeded Miami Heat and the number 1 seed out of the Western Conference, the Denver Nuggets. For the Miami Heat, they are the second 8th seed in NBA history to make it to the NBA Finals. The only other team to do that was the 1999 New York Knicks, who unfortunately lost in 5 games to the San Antonio Spurs. But it is a whole new day. It is a whole new era of basketball here. And as we look to the matchups here in this series, the first matchup I look up at is Bam Adebayo's defense against Nikola Jokic. And yes, it's going to be a team effort when it comes to defending Nikola Jokic. But I single-handedly point out to Bam Adebayo because Bam Adebayo, his versatility and his athleticism is going to be very key in this series. I will say this as well for Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo plays similarly to Anthony Davis. He does not shoot the 3 ball as much as Anthony Davis does. But when it comes to consistency in terms of play, him and Anthony Davis are one and the same, because some games they play phenomenal on both sides of the basketball, and in some games they are just not there mentally at all. And so Bam Adebayo is going to be key in terms of his defense single-handedly on Nikola Jokic. How much is he going to be able to hold down Nikola Jokic in this series? Because also, you cannot double-team Nikola Jokic with his vision and his IQ. It's just too much, and Nikola Jokic is going to find open shooters, and the Denver Nuggets have been one of the best, if not the best team in the postseason when it comes to shooting the 3. The other matchup I'm going into here is Aaron Gordon against Jimmy Butler. This matchup actually somewhat kind of favors Aaron Gordon in a sense in terms of height, because Aaron Gordon, who stands at 6'8", all postseason long, he's had height disadvantages when it comes to him matching up against the other team star player. When we look at the previous rounds, he went up against Karl Anthony Towns in the first round against the Minnesota Timberwolves. He went up against Kevin Durant in round 2 with the Phoenix Suns. And then, obviously, in the Western Conference Finals, he matched up against LeBron James and Anthony Davis. All 4 of these guys are taller than Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon is single-handedly probably their best defensive player. You could give a close second to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, but I'm going to give it to Aaron Gordon. He's going to have the matchup of Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler obviously is a very tricky matchup. The good thing about Jimmy Butler is he does not shoot a lot of 3 balls, and that's something that is going to favor Aaron Gordon in this matchup, because honestly, Jimmy Butler does not shoot the 3 ball well. Throughout his entire career, he's always been a mid-range shooter, relentless in all facets of the game, defensively, offensively. He's a stud. And so when we look, the 2 things Aaron Gordon needs to not do in this series is, 1, trash talk. Thank you, Grant Williams of the Boston Celtics, for doing that and waking up the bear. And number 2, don't jump on his ball fakes. This is something that Boston struggled with in the first 4 or 5 games of the series, and then they finally stopped jumping on his ball fakes. And Jimmy Butler was caught in no man's land, and either he had to force up a wild shot or have to find an open teammate to bail him out. And then on top of that, the last matchup I have here is this is a huge moment for the undrafted players, not just on the Miami Heat team. We're talking about Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, and Caleb Martin. These 4 guys have led the way in the undrafted players category. These guys are a group of scrappy players. The notion of these guys being Cinderellas, in my personal opinion, is being outdated by far. These guys are established players in the league now. Everyone has a scouting report on them now. And to me, they're not Cinderellas anymore, even though these guys have a voice for ignored players everywhere. Players that did not get drafted and started up in the G League or the developmental league and made their way up to the NBA and to the big show. And now Caleb Martin's going to be an $80 million player at some point in time in his career. The way he's played in this postseason, I mean, he was the X factor in the series against Boston. He's lights out shooting the three ball, getting rebounds, hustling, doing all the right things on both sides of the basketball. And Caleb Martin leads the way for this team. Gabe Vincent, we're going to see how he plays. You know, we know about him rolling that ankle, and we'll see how healthy, how close he is to 100% in game one of the NBA Finals here. Strus and Duncan Robinson, you know these two guys. These guys are no fruitcakes. These guys can shoot the three ball really, really well, and they're no fruitcakes on the defensive end. You can't just push these guys around. Duncan Robinson is the weakest out of the four in terms of defense, but man, watching his defense against not just Jaylen Brown, but other players like Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon, he played great defense all series long against Boston. Will that continue if he gets matched up against Jamal Murray here in the NBA Finals? We will see, but how will they respond, and will they fold under pressure? X factors in this series. I'm looking at Bam Adebayo. You've already heard me talk about his defensive paralysis and his versatility and his athleticism against Nikola Jokic. How is that going to play out? But Bam Adebayo needs to be the number 2 player behind Jimmy Butler when it comes to scoring the basketball. He needs to be aggressive. When he's aggressive, this team has an open plethora of options on the offensive end. When he's aggressive, he's a willing passer. If he gets going early, he's willing to pass the ball and find other guys to get going. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo both encourage the other players around them to shoot the ball with confidence. They give them confidence. They give them encouragement to keep shooting the ball, even if they keep missing. And that's something that is going to be key in the series, especially if Miami's going to have a chance to beat Denver in this series. And then the other side of this for Bam Adebayo is he needs to not have the Anthony Davis inconsistency. He can't have a great game and then have a bad game in the next game. This is not the team to go up against. You're going up against the most consistent team all season long in the Denver Nuggets, and especially you're going up against Mr. Triple-Double himself, Nikola Jokic. Cannot have that in this series against the Denver Nuggets. So he's got to be consistent every single night. The other X factor this series is obviously Erik Spoelstra and his adjustments. His in-game adjustments have been phenomenal throughout the playoffs here. His adjustments in this series have to be spot on. They have to be perfect every single time because I'm telling you right now, Denver will sweep. No one expected them to sweep the LA Lakers, but the problem with the LA Lakers is they had no shooting. Miami actually has shooting. It's just a matter of, can Erik Spoelstra's in-game adjustments, are they going to switch to zone defense? I think they're going to switch to zone defense at some point in time in this series. If Denver just runs away with this, they got to switch up to something to force Denver to be a jump shooting team. But the problem is Denver's a great three-point shooting team, and that's going to be a difficult thing for them to overcome because zone defenses collapse in the middle. They force you to shoot the basketball from the perimeter and not shoot inside. But it's going to be interesting how his in-game adjustments, especially against Nikola Jokic and especially if against Jamal Murray, how those defense adjustments are going to play out because these two guys are studs and they're going to be very difficult to handle, especially if they get going early. And then you got the other guys, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Bruce Brown, who comes off the bench and lights it up. They got a whole plethora of guys that is going to make it difficult for Erik Spoelstra and his in-game adjustments. Now, when we get to my prediction here, Denver should win this series here. I have Denver in 6. That's my full prediction here. But Denver should win this series. Will we be surprised if Miami wins the series? To be personally honest, I don't think so. I wouldn't be surprised if Miami wins this series because they have proven us wrong time and time again. Listen, Nuggets in 6, Jokic, Murray will be NBA champions. But thank you guys again so much for your time. If you guys haven't already, please leave a like and a subscribe to the channel. I can't wait to see all your faces in the next one. Deuces.